Hey guys, do you work in emergency medicine? An absolutely crazy and intense environment where you see things every day that a regular person doesn't see once in their entire life? Do you feel burned out, unappreciated, like there's no one you can talk to about the things you are struggling with? Well, you are not alone. I have a bunch of real professionals with real stories here with me today that can relate to your struggles. I've struggled with burnout, discouragement, and frustration many times and still struggle with it occasionally. My name's Aaron. I've been in emergency medicine for 15 years as an EMT, paramedic, and now emergency medicine PA, and I am the host of the Practical EMS podcast. We've got some new guests with us today and some returning, so we're going to jump right in and do some introductions and talk about some awesome topics today. So jumping back in, does anybody have any other stories they want to share about no topic specifically?
Go.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I am.
I mean, I've ran a lot of calls, but
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick up any specific ones too, because I feel like everything ends up kind of being a blur. But
yeah.
People ask you your favorite song, like it depends on the day.
Yeah.
Truth.
I don't remember.
I've had some
not only
good
them,
calls.
but it's like picking my favorite song and then I'll mash together 7 different songs in my head, like call wise. Like that's how it is for me. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, was that call or was it this call? As you said, it all kind of just blends in together.
People ask you like, "What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?" You're like
My
the
paycheck.
thing that's gonna
My paycheck.
Like you and I very upset right now, or like the thing that is like the absolute. You're not gonna believe me when I tell you
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
talked about that question before. Like, what's the craziest call you've ever ran? I hate that question because
It's like that's a broad topic, bro.
yeah, like, do you want me to make you cry?
Yeah.
Do you want to say wow, or do you want it to be silent for the rest of the night? You know. And
I'm
it's-
always like, it depends on what your level of crazy.
That's
Yeah.
what I say.
That's
I
too.
respond. I'm like,
And
what
they're
do you
like,
mean by crazy?
what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
I say, you name it, I've seen it, and then I move on and don't answer the question. Because they want to hear about someone's arm getting ripped off and how you had to carry their. That's what I picture. That's what they want is
You with your
someone's arm
shirt
got
off,
ripped
water's on, you carrying a mom
Yeah.
with fire behind you.
Delivering 3 babies in a parking lot just
Yeah.
so you by yourself.
Yeah.
That's what they want to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, they don't really want to know.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to respectfully say that.
Oh, no, they want to know.
But then you,
I feel like they don't really want
I
to
think-
know.
No, I
They
agree.
think they want to know, but they don't.
yeah, but then you tell them and they're like, oh, don't ask me the question.
Yeah.
One of the medics I was working with, someone asked her that question, and she told this, and she picked definitely a pretty heavy story, and his sweet little face was just like, oh, and I was like, I don't know what you were expecting, and you can tell she was like, all right, we're good, we're not gonna ask that question anymore, right? We're solidified on that now.
Just go with the worst
What?
one ever.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
Well, the kind of person that asks that question is the kind of person that is not equipped to hear the answer.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty. I definitely, when I was going into this,
Sure,
was
sure.
just to get a gauge of what it was like. And then you have your day and you're like, that, I don't want to talk about that ever
Yeah.
again. I don't want to think about it again when
Mhm.
someone asks you and you're like, I'm good. And
Yeah.
so you have to, you're naive until you're not. And so I want to give them grace, but that's why I respond with the, what kind of crazy are you looking
Yeah.
for? And-
Crazy. I was crazy once. They locked me in a room.
'Cause
Or
I
other
think-
room.
I think my
Rubber
level
room
of
with
crazy
rats.
has definitely switched from what it would have been, 10 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen? Well, if you asked me 10 years ago, it'd be this. But now it's like,
Let me tell you about this thing I did last weekend.
I had this call one time, just speaking of crazy calls, but me and my partner, Meredith at the time, who a lot of you guys know, we walked into this house. I can't even remember what the call was for. It's probably abdominal pain or something. We walk in and these 2 girls are sitting on the couch. There's a roaring fire in their fireplace in the middle of summer. It's there's smoke billowing out and they're just both cackling periodically. And we're like, why are we here? Who called? What's the complaint? Is there anything medical? And the 2 firefighters are standing by the fireplace, just looking at it very uncomfortably. Why is there a roaring fire in here? And then they hear this pop and the fire explodes out of the fireplace for a second and then gets sucked back in. And they're like, okay, what is in your fireplace right now? And they're like, lithium batteries. And they start just cackling and laughing hysterically. And we're like, what is going on here? And then another big pop. And they had just been throwing batteries into this fireplace. And the firefighters were very upset with them. But we're like, nothing medical going on. They're just two crazy people sitting on a couch.
Were they trying to charge the fire?
I don't know. Just like you can't make that up. Like just
That
in the
sounds
middle
like
of summer.
A fever dream kind of
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
you have to say. You're just like this. That wasn't real.
Like,
Yeah,
do
that's
you guys want to go to the hospital or can we leave? Like,
Yeah.
Before you burn the house down, I would like to not be in it.
and that's the funniest part is when you tell people these stories, they're like, "There's no way that happened. I wish I could make this stuff up, bro."
Right. Like, look, I got an imagination, but not that.
No, not much.
Imagination, right?
I just wish in school they told me how much naked people I'd see. They ignored that one in school. Like my first 3 days out of the academy, I'm like, why is there so many dicks?
And it's like all hours of the day. It can be 2:00 in the morning, and you're like,
Bruh.
I wasn't expecting that.
People live a very different lifestyle than you would expect.
So probably the dumbest thing I think I've ever said to this day is the job that I had when I was going through school was bartending, and I remember on one of my last shifts I was like, I just cannot wait to not fucking deal with drunk people. And one of my friends was a firefighter. He's like, oh, and I was like, well, it's different. And he's like, no. And then yeah, one of the first shifts is this just super gnarly ETOH like med clearance. Had to get a urine sample. Just pisses all over the hospital floor, just all over. And so it's like, you can use the syringe to get that up. I'm like, this is not what I'm No. And yeah, and I was like, this is bartending. I didn't have to do that. I could kick you out. Here I have to sit with you and hang out with you. So it's, yeah, you don't, I had no idea. No idea.
That literally happened to me the first week I worked at the hospital downtown. Like I had to get a urine sample, and then I went to get it out of like the big supply cart.
Mm-hmm.
I turned around, the dude's gone. I'm like, we were in the back section of the central hospital. And then like I just see him like he's in a corner, like he's in bed 10 in the corner, and all I see is like his ass cheeks. And I was like, bro, there's a bathroom right there.
Too far.
And he's like, I'm in the bathroom. Do you know what you're missing? What? A toilet. I was so mad. So pissed.
When I was a EMT student, the thing that shocked me about the field that I didn't realize was the amount of old people we would see. Because I was like, I just don't want to deal with old people. I love this job, but I don't really like the old people. Well, that's kind of what
That
we do.
sucks.
Turns out they're the ones with most of the medical problems.
Yeah, like 90%.
Yeah.
Like on a Sunday or a holiday, you are guaranteed to run all of your calls until the evening time at a nursing home.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then people will die.
Yeah.
Or at 6 or 7 in the morning. I just saw him an hour ago. No, you didn't.
Yeah. Oh,
let
yeah.
me go get a nurse. I just got clocked on. What is that? Just got clocked on. I just got off break. Let me go find you a nurse. Like,
This isn't my floor.
this isn't my floor. This isn't my patient.
I would be a millionaire
Yeah.
if I actually collected money on every time I hear that. I really would. That
Yeah,
would be
for
a
real.
real thing.
Even if it was like a penny.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it was like in office space,
Yeah.
how they steal all that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like that.
There's like a bingo card I've wanted to make so long to keep at like the triage desk for all the time people come in, and it's like, you know, all right, well, what's your emergency today? Well, 6 weeks ago. I'm like, today. And they're like, okay, well, this is what's bothering you the most. Or like, how much do you weigh? Oh, I don't want to tell you. I just want to mark it on the bingos. Or that better be in kilograms. Like, you hear the same thing over and over again. They're like, anything else I can do for you? $1 million. Like, do you see what I do? Do you know what I do? I don't know. So
Like,
that's
I
what
definitely do not
every
have $1
time.
million.
Yeah, patients think they're being clever when they say this stuff. Or like we've heard this so many times. One
Yeah.
one for me is when I ask what's going on today, they say, well, you tell me. Like, no, what symptoms are you having?
Yeah.
What brings you in? My wife.
Yeah.
My wife.
Yes.
Okay.
Or when I get blood, the vampire's here. I've heard that
Yes.
20 times
Oh my
today.
God.
Old dudes love that one.
Yeah.
It's always an
Vampire.
old dude with that one. I feel like.
The old white rich people laugh.
The vampire's here.
I had one person, like, I don't know if she was funny or just snotty. She was like, I'm sitting there drawing her blood, and she's just talking, which is fine. She's like, I just don't respect people that don't make $90,000 a year. I was sitting there with the I just stared at her. She's like, what? I was like, I want to say so many things to you right now. And I was like, what do you do? She's like, my husband works. And I'm like, oh, so you don't do shit. Now shut up and give me your blood.
What are other things that surprised you guys about this field you didn't expect going into it?
The amount of things people put up their butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't even say like the amount of things people. I would say the amount of things people wear underneath their clothing.
Dude, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like there was one time where I brought a guy into the hospital, and the doc's like, "Well, you're gonna have to change." And then like as the door is closing, I like my ADHD brain sees something shiny, and I was like, "What the?" And I come on out, and the doc's face was just like, I was like, "Was that a chain?" He goes, "Yep, from his cock ring to his butt plug." I was like, he was wearing that the entire time. Like, what is going on with people? Like, nope. Just underneath all those clothes. Huh?
It's
Walking
just a
around
regular
downtown.
It's just a regular day.
What you wear on Saturdays? Like,
You mean you don't?
Combo going on. Like, oh my god.
I would just have to ask bro why. I just need to know. He's like, what's wrong with it? I just need to know. I just need to fucking. Can you imagine going through like, TSA, like going through the metal detector, beep, and they're like, and he's like, it's always in there. Just what? You're gonna have some weird nightmares, ain't you, Sarah?
Surprising and not. all at the same
Isn't
time.
that the worst part though?
Like,
It's
you don't-
not really.
You don't get shocked anymore, but it is like but like why? Walk me through the thought process of
Yeah.
why you're doing the things that you're doing today.
Yes.
Well, women's underwear feels way more comfortable when you're having to do a lot of athletics. You're like,
Okay, buddy.
It doesn't even enter my conscious mind half the time when patients do weird stuff. My subconscious filters it out before I can even process it. I went into a room with
like
one of
dealing
the
with children.
Yeah. I went in a room with a doc one time, and the patient was rubbing their nipple like, the whole time we were talking to him. And we walked down, the doc's like, "Did you notice how they were just rubbing their nipple the whole time?" And I was like, "No, I didn't even." My subconscious filtered out like, why would they not be rubbing their nipple? Of course they are. Like,
Normal thing.
I mean,
So
you
you're gonna be the
become
PA
used
today?
to that.
I mean, I guess even coming back to the whole, seeing the number of dicks you do. Somebody just comes out naked. You're like, all right, get in the ambulance.
yeah.
Or I'm like, why is it looking at me? Like, bro, I thought you had toe pain.
All right, get in the ambulance.
Get in the rig.
Some people are, you want to get them clothes first? I'm just going to be in the ambulance.
No, they're gonna make him wear a gown anyway.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine, they're fine. Just
First
be on
time, buddy?
blankets. Get me out of this house.
How? Go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry, I thought of a couple things. One, how messy people's homes are, like how and like the amount of hoarder homes
Mhm.
that there actually are. I thought it was just a TV show.
Yeah.
It's real life things happening here. And then the number of people that call 911 for a non-emergency
Oh,
baffles me.
I want
Like I never would have considered that before actually being in EMS
Yeah.
ever. Yeah.
How do you guys go ahead? Go ahead.
Oh, I was
apologize.
just gonna say, I think someone made a good point. Ever since COVID, people forgot like the ability on how to like just take ibuprofen and Tylenol for a fever and a cough. People forgot how to take care of themselves when they're sick. So the amount of 3 o'clock in the morning, like I just don't feel good. I'm like, did you medicate yourself? Like
what have you tried?
Yeah, what have we done? Or the amount of people that come to the ER just to get a pregnancy test is the most expensive
know how much-
7-Eleven trip you could have made.
Do you know
No,
how much
not
those
even
things
dollar
cost
store.
when you don't have money?
Well, they're like, I took 2 and it said negative, and I was like, and you just want to pay like $400 something to just be really sure,
They will pay this many dollars. $0.
Oh my god,
Yeah, it's true.
It's the population.
really? No, that drives me
thanks.
bonkers. But yeah, no, all of those, the 3 a.m. coughs. Mm-mm.
At least it gives us stories to talk about.
It does.
Cause like my to this one of my funniest ones still, the guy burned his hand on a Pop-Tart, but it wasn't a real burn. It was like we get there, me and Big are just pissed. We're like the dispatcher was laughing the whole time too. So we get there and he's just holding his hand like he's got his toaster and his Pop-Tart. First off, he got Oreo Pop-Tarts. Disgusting. Okay, if you're gonna eat,
I was just gonna say that sounds really good.
I
I don't like those, dude.
Shots fired. I love those ones.
Do you?
Brown sugar and cinnamon
Brown
is
sugar,
number
man.
1.
All
And then
day.
I'll go with an Oreo as number 2.
All right, bet. But again, he opens the door and like he was crying. We're like, dude, what? And he's like, I put my hand on the Pop-Tart, run me through it. He's like, I had the Pop-Tart. No shit. And he's like, I put it in there, I put it down. He's like, what? Like, we asked him, like, what level did you do it? He's like, 1. And I'm like, you had it on the lowest heat. And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, it sprung open. And he's like, and we were trying our best. We were. And we're like, did you put your hand in the toaster on accident? He's like, no, I'm not that dumb. Okay. And he's just like, yeah, I lifted it up and it burned me. So you called 911. I didn't know what to do. And his hand's not even red. And me and Mike just looked at each other and we're like, do you want to go to a hospital? He's like, I think I should. You don't have to go to a hospital. He's like, I want to go. Do you have a car? No. Shit. You call anybody? No. Shit. So then we're just like, I'm just going to love typing this up and seeing what the PA says when I get there.
I had one time where they called us for vaginal bleeding, which, okay, there's a list of differentials that could be emergent, right?
Yeah.
We get there and I'm like, so what's going on? I'm having a little bit of bleeding. Are you on your period? Yeah. Anything like abnormal? Are you pregnant? No. Like, is it like heavier flow? No. You want to go to the hospital? Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll go to the hospital, I guess. On the flip side, we got a call way out east, and it was for a hand burn.
Yeah.
We're like, this is going to be nothing. This will be easy. We get out there, and this guy had turned a tiki torch into an explosive.
Ooh.
And had set their barn on fire and was in very close contact. And like his clothes got caught on fire at one point. He ran into his house and like stripped off his clothes and was sitting in the bathtub with like cold water dripping on him when we got there, like naked, but with all of his skin like sloughing off.
Ooh.
Like there were burns everywhere. It was horrible.
It just came in as a hand burn.
And it came in as a hand burn. And one of the awesome firefighters that I love that was out there, we pulled up on scene and he comes running out of the house going, it's not a hand burn. We need a helicopter now. And we ended up having to RSI this kid. It was crazy. Everything you hear today from myself and my guests is opinion only. It does not represent any organizations or companies that any of us are affiliated with. The stories you hear have been modified to protect patient privacy, and any resemblance to real individuals is coincidental only. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice nor used to diagnose any medical or health care conditions.
Like never had, I feel like dispatch either or whoever's calling the call in is either undershooting or overshooting. Always. We've had a woman, I don't know if you're working this day, called a cold blue. It was just a syncopal episode, but like they had said they didn't check for a pulse and they just assumed that she had none and bring her in, and then we Jane Doe her and she's like, that's not my name. And we're like, what the hell?
That would scare the shit out of me.
On right now. Like I just slumped over in a wheelchair. So she had passed out, but they were like, oh, there's, she's not awake, no pulse. Or then there's, a hand burn that is a whole body burn. And you're like, why? There's no like happy medium ever that I've noticed.
I've always noticed the emergent calls come in as non-emergent all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like the one I always remember was with me and Trevor, came in non-emergent as for arm pain. That was it. So we're like, send the BLS crew. This is great. We get there. It wasn't just arm pain. Her heart rate's like 300. And we're like, oh shit. And we're like, Cardizem didn't do anything. Vaguely didn't do anything. We're like, hun, we're going to have to do some Edison medicine. She's like, what does that mean? We're about to light you up. We're going to kick you in the chest. Because her blood pressure started to go down. And we were just pissed off the whole time, like putting things together like arm pain. Stupid. We light her up, arm pain goes away.
I got called one time for generalized weakness.
Oh, yeah.
Non-emergent. We're driving super slow. We get there. This lady walks down the stairs and answers the door and then goes and lays down on the couch. Her pressure's like 70 systolic. She's in V-tach.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, you just walked down the stairs and answered the door, and you're in like in layman's terms, a semi-fatal rhythm. Like you can't really sustain that for very long before you die.
You're in a McDonald's symbol right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's an imperfect system, right? You're relying on a patient trying to give history over the phone, and God knows what their thinking is going on, and then a dispatcher that hasn't ever run a 911 call getting the information.
It's
and
definitely one of the, I would say, I'm thinking about it, one of the craziest things I've seen is how well some of these people compensate for this situation.
Dude, right?
You're like, you just walked down how many flights of stairs with a pressure of what?
Yeah.
Those are the things that still like surprise me nowadays. You're like looking at somebody, you're like, ooh, you gonna die. And they're like, I feel fine. And you're like,
Your body's not.
how? Like, I don't understand this. Those are the things that just still surprise me. You're like looking at him, you're like, oh, you know, that's a tombstone standing right there. And they're just like, what do you mean? It's just like indigestion right here. I'm like, no.
Yeah, stomach pain, and it's been like a dissecting AAA. And he's like, I'm just a little uncomfortable, and we're like, we can assure you, we are all way more uncomfortable.
We had a guy like pain right in the center of his shoulder blades.
Yeah.
And like I came back later after dropping him off at the hospital, and like, this is the largest dissecting aortic aneurysm I've ever seen, and it went from like mid chest all the way down to like left side of his thigh.
That scares the hell out of me because, like, I expect you to have some bad symptoms with that.
Yeah.
Or else it's not going to be on my radar.
Yeah.
Like,
They almost
I need
discharged
you
him,
to
and
be
then he was
hurting.
kind of like, oh, I'm getting some numbness in my left arm now. And they're like, okay, let's do a full body scan. That's when they decided to CT him. And they came back and like it dissected into his kidney and everything.
Ew.
Like
Wow.
it was huge. I was like looking at this thing like, oh, it looks bad.
It's like,
I'm in danger.
they prepare you the whole time that is like going to be one of the gnarliest things that you see. Like they're going to decompensate so fast. And then I had another really good instructor that was like, no patient's going to follow your textbook, not a one.
Yeah.
And so now I've known it's always just like, I'm a little uncomfortable and your heart rate's 222. And I'm like, you're a little uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
we should scoop you.
That was one of my most scary code 3 returns. When I was an EMT, we had to transfer, and my medic was like, I need you to drive really fast and don't hit bumps.
Yeah.
And I
be
was
very
like,
safe.
okay. I was like, this guy's gonna die. This guy's gonna die.
what's the coolest thing when you guys were EMTs that your paramedic ever said to you? Like, what was the most badass thing? I always thought it was badass when they'd be like, get me there yesterday. And I'd be like, all right.
I don't even know.
Or one I had, this is when I was a paramedic. I was on a double paramedic car, and I think it was a transfer, and we were transferring. We were like 30 seconds from leaving one hospital, headed to the other one, and he goes, rhythm change. And I was like, what's going on back there? He's like, they're in VTAC, turn around. Okay. Like, light it up to run one red light to turn back to the hospital.
I'm not doing that today.
Yeah, my first partner, Big, he would just go like, Nate, what? We have a problem. No, we don't. And then my newest partner, Trevor, just goes, Newt, issue. I'm like, what? Angry squiggles. Angry squiggles.
I don't really feel like I have like a
catchphrase.
catchphrase that I've ever
Shit.
been asked. But yeah, I got nothing for you. What I was gonna say, I just forgot it anyway. So
I don't know. I think sometimes I just said, I don't know, just get me there.
Yeah, all right.
What do you want? Cut 2, cut 3? I don't know. Whatever. Just get me there.
If you hear me crying, drive faster.
Sometimes I never had a good rationale for lights and sirens versus not lights and sirens at the
Yeah.
hospital. Like, I don't know. We probably should get there sooner rather than later.
And I'm like,
If it's really taking us a while, maybe turn on the lights and sirens.
still trying to figure it out
Yeah.
here, but I think they're
Listen,
sick.
I don't want you to,
Don't know why
drive
yet.
fast. Just don't stop at any lights.
Yeah. 2.5.
Oh yeah, code 2.5.
2.5.
Because there's not really like
2.5.
there's not really like rules surrounding
He's
it.
like, what are you? What's a 2.5?
Non-emergently emergent.
Right?
How fun is it to drive lights and sirens? I miss that.
I got
actually,
bored
now
of
that
it
I
after
think
the first
about
5 months.
it. I really miss it now that it's been like 4 years.
I do not.
Do you think
like
they'd let
it.
me do it again if
Why
I
not?
just showed up?
Probably.
Because drivers are so ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
scary. Like it's
Mhm.
not us. It's everybody
But
freaks
it's
out.
not your ambulance.
But you're in it.
But I'm responsible for it. When
Oh,
I'm in
yeah.
It's
it.
still gonna be your body when you wreck it.
Yes.
I love it. I still love it. Every time I'd set those things on up, I'm like,
I do like to air horn people though. That's like my way of yelling. Like
That's
just
the way.
air horn. Get out of the way.
air horn people.
Why did
So
you
you just got
cut me
that
off?
little gradient that's like, ha, ha.
Give them a heart attack on your way
Oh,
to
yeah.
a heart attack.
You guys are going to be at
Exactly.
another call.
Have you guys ever been in a wreck?
Yes.
I haven't.
Yes. The deer hit us. There's a deer story that I cannot tell on live. I did once, and people were like, "Uh-oh, be careful." I was like, "Yeah, I can tell later." But the deer hit us, and I had this brilliant idea. And it didn't work too well.
I definitely was heading emergent to what was a pediatric arrest call. So I'm sitting there and I'm going through this intersection, and I look down because I'm trying to find my buttons, and I look on up, and there's a lady just stopped. And I was like, oh no, here it comes. And we just, bam. I'd probably say I tried to avoid it about 45 miles an hour into the back of her. And she's like, I'm so sorry. There was a car parked in front of me. And I was like, oh, you're fine. Like afterwards, like we hit and the wheel bumped on out. So then I into the car that was in front of her. Right. And then all of a sudden I'm just like rolling down the window. Do you guys need an ambulance?
We're on scene.
I mean, it just happened so quickly, but that was years ago. But I was sitting there, I was just like, oh man.
I'm surprised they don't happen more often. I think I was in one, if you exclude deer. I was only in one. But we were going through an intersection, going through a red light, and my partner didn't see this car. She was driving. I was like, car. And then they T-boned us basically. And they felt so bad. I was like, you were going through a green light. No one really looks both ways before they go through a green light. I think they still got a ticket probably, which kind of sucks. But I'm like, I kind of felt bad because I'm like, you're going through a green light.
The sirens are hard to hear.
Yeah,
too.
totally.
I've been off duty with my radio up, and you can't hear them.
Yeah, and they don't let us talk into a microphone anymore. To
used to be able to.
We can't be trusted with that technology.
We used to be able to.
Yeah, at least you can change the tones of the siren.
Yeah,
which I think that helps. So whenever I go through an intersection, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to do this anyway, but I change it.
Yeah.
But
you hear me, right?
Yeah.
They used to have, when they used to let you talk into the loudspeaker, people would just do the siren with their voice, the whole way it calls it was just obnoxious.
Me and Big would be like, you move out of the way. I can smell you. We got that taken out real quick.
You're definitely the reason that's not allowed.
Yeah, we got that taken out real quick. I hope you get explosive diarrhea and wall-to-wall traffic.
Oh, no.
That's what you would do with it?
Absolutely.
Or we just creep downtown and play the Purge sound.
The Purge music.
That's why we're not allowed to have this.
It was funny.
It was great.
EMTs and paramedics do not have the maturity level to be trusted with that.
What? We're the professionals.
Is that what we are?
Easy on the professional.
Easy on the professional, bro.
If you guys got any value out of this today, if it resonated with you, encouraged you, the only thing I ask is you subscribe to the show, give a 5-star rating and review, which will help a ton. I don't make any money on the podcast, and it does cost money to do it. So if you want to support the show, go to practicalems.com, join the email list, and subscribe on any podcast player on YouTube as well under Practical EMS. And we will see you guys next time.